Okay, so yesterday we talked about the area of a sector. Now I'm going to talk about the length of an arc. So if I had a circle, you guys can see my circle, and I just wanted to measure the distance outside of my circle. So it's an arc. If I could come over with the string, how long is my string? What's the length of that arc? So I'm not looking at the area of the circle. I'm looking at the outside, the length of the arc. Very similar to what we did yesterday, okay? Now let me come up with a formula. Very similar to the formula we did yesterday. We're gonna say arc length. So the length of the arc over circumference. Now the circumference is basically the distance around the whole circle. So my arc length over the circumference is equal to central angle over, let's just call circle angle. So my arc length over the circumference, remember circumference is the distance around the entire circle, is equal to my central angle over the circle angle. The cool thing is the angle of a circle, it's always 360. Okay, so I'm asking for the arc length. So this arc length will be X. The other three measurements, like the circumference, the central angle, or the circle of the angle, which we know the circle angle is always 360, those will be given. So let me work this out. I'm going to use this formula for today, okay? So I'm going to say X over the circumference. I know my radius is 15. Remember, radius is this measurement right here, from the center of the circle to the way out. I'm going to say my circumference, the distance around the entire circle, is going to be 30 pi, okay? The radius was 15, so the circumference 30 times pi. Now the 30, because I went radius times 2. If they were to give me the diameter, that's basically what I need, diameter pi. But I had the radius of radius times 2 equals, the central angle in this case is 210. You guys can see it here, over 360. Okay, to get the x by itself, let me multiply both sides by 30 pi. So let me multiply it by 30 pi, because this 30, this pi's cancel out. So let me ignore my pi symbol for a moment. I'm just gonna go 210 times 30 divided by 360. So I get 17.5 pi. I just went 210 times 30 divided by 360, and it gave me 17.5 pi. So if I'm asked to leave this in terms of pi, that's it, 17.5 pi. If I'm not asked for terms of pi, I'm just asked to round it to something. Let me go 17.5 times pi. Let me round this to 1 decimal place, and I'm going to get 55.0. Again, terms of pi, 17.5 pi. Leave pi alone. If I don't say terms of pi, then go 17.5 times pi. And as a reminder, pi, you type in the letters pi, and then you're going to see the pi symbol. So 17.5 times pi. All right, let's take a look at number 60. Let me leave in red. You guys see the formula on the top left of our screen. So the arc length, I have no idea what the arc length. So X over, my radius is 13. So the circumference is going to be 26 pi, right? Radius times 2 equals, the central angle is 135. The whole circle is 360. Okay, so now let me zoom in here. Let me multiply both sides by 26 pi. So the x, there by itself. On the right, let me go 135 times 26 divided by 360. So I get 9.75 pi. But if I don't have to leave it in terms of pi, let me go 9.75 times pi. Let me round this to 1 decimal place. So I get 30.6. Same thing with question number 61. A circle with circumference 38 has an arc with length 14.9. Find the central angle of the arc in degrees. Okay. So the arc length is 14.9 and the circumference is 38. Shouldn't I go 14.9 over 38 equals the central angle? I have no idea what it is, but the whole circle is 360. Remember, it's arc length over circumference is equal to central angle over the whole circle. Okay, so let me multiply both sides by 360. So the x is by itself, so I'm just going to go 360 times 14.9 divided by 38. Let me round this to 1 decimal place. So it's going to be 141.2. If it doesn't say to round it to anything, type everything out. But in this case, we cannot. So it might say round it to the nearest degree. That means the nearest whole number. So the nearest whole number would be 141. Okay, let's take a look at number 62 here. A circle with circumference of 14 has an arc with length 36.7. So shouldn't I go 36.7 over 14 is equal to, I don't know, the central angle over 360. So let me multiply both sides by 360. So I'm gonna go 360 times 36.7 divided by 14. And I get 943.7. There you go.